With the days getting shorter and the temperature in general getting colder, I wanted to start cooking more hearty food when out on my wild camps. This beef stew recipe is fairly straightforward to cook on the Trangia and is certainly nice to look forward to after a hard day's hiking. All of the ingredients and a step-by-step method for this recipe can be found in the video description. Start by dicing the onion, chopping the carrots, leek and mushrooms. I find this easier to do at home and then take the ingredients out in a ziplock, but you can do it out and about, whatever's easiest for you. Next you want to coat the beef in the flour. I like to season the flour with some garlic, salt and pepper, but this is personal preference. Next, get the Trangia fired up, leave it on full heat for the time being, then add some olive oil to the Trangia frying pan and add this to the heat. Now add the beef chunks to the pan. Don't bunch them up too much, make sure there's a bit of space around each one, and you'll want to turn these fairly frequently to stop them burning. Keep cooking until you've got a nice even crust. When the beef's looking good, take it off the pan and transfer it to another pot, then cover with foil. Don't worry about cleaning the pan, the cooked on crust just adds to the flavour. Get some more olive oil into the pan and then add your onions. You want to cook these through until they're slightly translucent or just starting to turn brown, whichever comes first. Then add your garlic and cook this through for 30 seconds or so. Next, add the bacon lardons to the pan and cook these until the bacon is just starting to go golden. When you're happy with how the bacon looks, we need to deglaze the pan. I'm using red wine, but you could use beer or stock at this point. The aim here is just to get all of the cooked on crust off the bottom of the pan and start building up the base of the sauce. When you're happy with how this is looking, add your tomato puree, cook this through, stirring it vigorously. If it starts to get a little bit too thick, just add a little bit more liquid until you've got a nice sauce consistency. Next, get your pot with your beef back onto the heat, and then add the stock base that we've just been cooking into the same pot. Then fill the pot right to the top with liquid. This is a great opportunity to add more beer or wine if you'd like, but if you don't want alcohol, just fill it up with water. Then add your stock. I'm using a stock pot, but a stock cube is fine. Just get some form of stock in there, give it a good stir, and then bring it to the boil. Once it's boiling, set the simmering on your burner to about 50% open and let it simmer for about 30 minutes. After which point you can then add your carrots, bay leaf and thyme to the stew and then leave for another 30 minutes of simmering. Once about 30 minutes has gone by, add your mushrooms and leek to the stew and again leave it for another 30 to 60 minutes simmering. The rule of thumb here is the cheaper the meat that you use, the longer you're going to need to cook it. So after about 30 minutes to an hour, give the meat a try. If it tastes nice and tender, then you're on the right track. If it's still a bit tough, you're probably just going to need to cook it out a little bit longer. The aim of all the simmering is to intensify the sauce and reduce the amount of liquid that's in the pot. So keep an eye on this. If it ever looks like it's getting a bit dry, just add a bit more liquid. For the dumplings, mix the suet and self-raising flour with a little bit of water. Be quite sparing with the water because you don't want the mix to become too wet. Divide the mixture into 2 balls and then place them on top of the stew. Cover with foil and leave this to steam for at least 30 minutes. 30 minutes to 45 should be all you need for these to be cooked. Once the dumplings are cooked, remove the foil and then transfer the stew to a plate, or just eat it straight out of the bowl, whatever works for you.